All right, so today we're joined by the incredible Dr. Alicia, aka Dr. A true powerhouse with expertise spanning healthcare, real estate, and business development. Dr. Alicia is a doctor of nurse practice, licensed in multiple states, a top producing real estate broker in the state of Florida as well as Georgia, and a mortgage loan originator licensed in all 50 states. As the CEO of Opulent Medical Care and Opulent Realty International, she's a trailblazer known for her sharp negotiation skills, innovative solutions, as well as her unwavering commitment to putting people first. With her background as a healthcare leader and her success as a coach and brand ambassador for several businesses, Dr. Alicia is here to share her journey and inspire us to think bigger as well as better. So let's introduce her and welcome her to the show. Listen, it's exciting to actually be here with you. You know, obviously I know a little bit about you, but I'm excited to introduce you to the rest of the world so they can understand who you are, your story, as well as your journey. So please kick us off. Well, you know, before we get on with that, happy holidays. I'll be remiss to not start there and say happy holidays. Hopefully you have a blessed holiday and it's going to be filled with adventure, love, as well as family. So again, welcome to the show. So let's kick things off. Let's not waste any time on here. Introduce yourself, Doc. I mean, people are excited to get to know who you are as an individual. So start there.
Well, you did a great introduction there. So
listen, it's all you. I was excited to read it. I was like, listen, if this is her bio, this is going to be juicy. This is going to be some good stuff right here. So let's go ahead and get into it.
Definitely going to try to drop some gems and as many as I can.
All right. So Doc, who are you personally?
So personally, I like to start off by saying personally, many people know me professionally. So personally, I kind of consider myself a little introvert / extrovert. I mean, you can be extrovert in certain scenarios, but I mean, you kind of saw my personality. I'm just kind of laid back and, you know, I say what I have to say when I have to say it.
Right.
But other than that, I'm a person that likes art. You know, I have 4 girls as well. I love to travel, love anything artsy and music, you know, wise. But on the flip side of professionalism, you've introduced me. I'm a doctor, broker in the lower 50 states, and I do a lot of business coach and management and brand ambassador.
I mean, it sounds like a lot, and I'm looking at you, and I'm sure everybody else, they're going to listen to your voice. They're going to be like, man, this lady's young. Then they're going to see your face, and they're going to be like, okay, she can't be any more than 27, but you're already a physician.
Oh, Patrick.
No, for real. You're already a physician. Listen, you own a medical company, a realty, and you're international. I mean, the force is real in you. So tell me about that hustle journey, because you've accomplished a lot at such a young age. What inspired all of this? How did this come about?
So even since I was a little girl, I used to like business. So in kindergarten, I used to sell, I don't know if you know, these little beaded lizards that we used to make with like string and just beads. I used to sell those along with candy. After school, I used to sell the little scrapers, and I'm like 5 or 6 years old doing this. And then it just built, you know, even in middle school when they said that, you know, after we had the fundraisers, once the fundraisers were over, I still went to Sam's, bought extra boxes of chocolate and still would sell those as if they were fundraisers. So I've always had that spirit of business. I just didn't have, you know, someone to show me like what to do with the money, how to make it work for me. So as a kid, I would save the money, but I really didn't know what to do with it.
Right. So,
you know,
like,
so that's what.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
So that's what kind of prompted me into getting into business and studying more about, you know, how I can become, you know, an entrepreneur.
So was that a journey as a child? I mean, I hear the hustling. You started at 5, 6. You're going to Sam's. You're flipping stuff to make, you know, some money and some profit. But like, what actually inspired that though? Like, where did that come from?
I think that's just a true desire to, you know, be a business owner.
Okay.
Like I said, I didn't have parents or family that were entrepreneurs. So I didn't have any, you know, examples around me. I just knew that I wanted to be my own boss. I know that even when I took like personality tests as a, you know, kid, sometimes they'll test you and say, oh, you're supposed to be a doctor. Oh, you're supposed to be this. Mine always said leader or business owner. So I've embodied that role, even with me trying to run away from it as I got older, you know, because I went straight into the medical field. I ended up finding myself right back to entrepreneurship.
So now we're fast forward, you're a DNP, and it stands for Doctor of Nurse Practitioner, right? Or Nurse Practice? Did I get it right? So Doctor of Nurse Practice, how did you get there? Like, how did that become a thing? What are the steps that you had to go through to reach that point?
So I started out as a CNA on the floor.
Okay.
And I always tell my kids, you never have to wipe butts like I did.
Right.
So I started out there. I started out taking care of disabled kids as well, transitioned to disabled adults. It was just really, when I was 19, I ended up getting pregnant. I was a teen mom.
Okay.
So that's when I decided to go to medical school. I started out in fashion school, 18, 19, got pregnant, said I need to change. Fashion school is not going to get it. So let me go to medical school.
Sure.
So started out there, went to Polk State College here in my city, and just started taking the courses. After that, I didn't like the work, on the floor being a CNA. The only thing that I did like is the rewarding side of, taking care of people, being able to understand, hear their stories. When I was on the floor listening to their stories, some of them kind of inspired me to be a bit better. So then that's when I was like, okay, let me transition over to, further my education to be an RN. Usually next steps are like CNA, LPN, RN, but I skipped the LPN side and just went straight to RN. After that, I said, well, why don't I just go further? Sure. So I went ahead and got my master's degree and then the doctorate degree.
All right, so everybody that's just joining, welcome to Health Hustle Chronicles, where the grind meets growth in healthcare. As you know, this ain't your typical podcast because you know what? I bring you the livest, the freshest guests from around the world, Craig. And today we're interviewing Dr. Alicia. She's also a doctor of nurse practice, and she's the owner of her own medical company as well as a realty company, both domestically as well as internationally. And right now, we're just digging into her background, is how she became the influencer that she is today. And so right now, we went from a CNA, you skipped the whole LVN or LPN step, and then you jumped to becoming an RN. Did you do that? Was that 2-year associates, or was that 4-year bachelor's to get that?
It was a 4-year bachelor's.
4-year bachelor's. And then, all right, so how long were you practicing as an RN before you decided, you know what, let's just go ahead and be a doctor. Let's do this thing.
I think that took an additional 4 years on top of that. So because how they do it, I went to USF in Tampa. How they do it is you have to, if you're going to enroll into the doctorate program, you have to, do your master's in between, but they will not award you your master's degree until you finish your doctorate.
Okay.
So it's like I was done with master's 2 years after that. And then we had to do, clinicals and more didactic work, and we actually had to do case studies in order to obtain that doctorate degree. But that was just straight 4 years straight. So as soon as I became an RN, I went ahead and enrolled in the next program, and I just kept going from there.
So as an RN, did you enjoy the work? Like, honestly?
Yeah, well, yeah, it was a bit more it was a bit more rewarding than the CNA work, honestly. But I do thank all the CNAs out there, because without them, like, nurses wouldn't be anything.
Right.
Because we truly rely on them to help and, be that voice and mouthpiece. So I don't want to discount, that at all. But being an RN, I did get to see the next level of things. So CNA, you get to see, the personal side. You're with the client all the time, or the patient. But RN side, you actually get to hear their story. If you sit, it's more than just pushing medication. Many people just think you walk in the room, give medications. All right, see you later.
Exactly.
That's not what it is. Yeah, you're caring for them. You're wrapping their wounds. You're hearing their story. You get to hear how they got here. The back end story, you get to revive people. There are many cases where I've had to, revive people back, do CPR, call them the team, the crisis team. Because the patient's crashing. So I think RN work was very rewarding because being at the hospital, how I worked my way up, I ended up becoming the supervisor of the floor, and it was one of the largest floors in the hospital.
Okay.
So I've learned a lot to being on that floor and being in that scenario.
So, like, as you know, you're in these hospitals, you see a little bit of everything. Were you I guess because I'm always inspired by these medical professionals, and they deal with like the blood and the broken bones and everything else. Like, does that freak you out, or you inspired by that? You like, this is an opportunity to really fix somebody that's broken?
It's really an opportunity. If you truly love medical and caring for people, like that doesn't even matter. Like I said, some people are grossed out by blood. Like they can't eat a meal and see something that comes on
Right.
TV. I'm just over there eating away. My
Just
kids are like,
pass the ketchup, pass the ketchup.
right.
Wow. All right. So,
Yeah.
okay. So you're a doctor, nurse practice. Do you actually do that today? Is it active?
Yeah. So I do telehealth. So I'm licensed in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, and Florida.
Wow. Wow. All right. Okay. All right. So talk to me about, okay. So because listen, you started at 5, you was out there grinding, you was hustling it at 5. If you hadn't became this doctor of nurse practice, what do you think you would have really been?
I think I still would have found my way back to entrepreneurship some way, somehow.
Okay.
Like I have so many stories leading up to how I became, that individual or this individual today. Even when I was in school, I still had my own business doing cosmetics. I was doing lashes, facials. I ended up going to cosmetic school while I was in the RN program because I really wanted to do the cosmetic side of dermal injections, fillers once I graduated with my master's. So I figured that I needed to learn the backside of how to actually, what estheticians go through in order to know the facial anatomy, how to really inject. And so I did that too. So honestly, it would have just led me right back to entrepreneurship and being the leader some way, somehow.
I guess we probably should have started this by saying or asking you, what don't you do? Because it sounds like you do everything, man. This is awesome.
I don't get on roller coasters.
You don't get a roller coaster. So that's your thing. Okay. All right. No roller coasters for you. All right. So I want to go so many different directions with this. But first, I guess I go here because, there's a lot. You're wearing a lot of hats already right now. But how do you actually go about separating your personal life from your professional life? Because there's a lot going on right now.
So I tell people with that, like personal and professional, it's typically hard to juggle sometimes because the two mesh, but you have to find a way to kind of like split them up. So what I've learned is I have a calendar and I make time on that calendar for my personal life.
Okay.
Like say like every other Tuesday, I actually get massages, and that's like dedicated time for me. After like 7 p.m., unless it's an emergency, I even tell, my agents, if it's not an emergency, I'll follow up with it tomorrow. If it's something that isn't, quick that I can do within like 2 or 3, minutes. But if I'm out with my kids, then no, you got to wait till tomorrow. So that's how I try to separate the personal and professional life. In addition to that, like I said, calendaring, just making sure that I do self-care and spend time, do the things that I like to do, because when you're just in grind mode all the time, you start feeling that.
Right.
You start feeling tired. The people around you can sometimes feel like, man, she might need a break, or, sometimes you might have bags under your eyes because it looks like you're not sleeping. So
right.
you definitely have to take care of yourself.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and switch gears. We already, discussed a little bit about, your medical side, but you're a whole CEO of a realty company that's also internationally. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So our company, it is based in Central Florida. We service Florida and Georgia right now. I know that we are in the works of expanding to New York because we have some agents that really want to get up there in that market. So we're working on that. But I truly love real estate because it gives you the time freedom. I love medical too. That's why I still do that, in between. But real estate truly gives me that freedom to have no cap on my income.
Okay.
Right. With medical, I would say I'm a little capped because it's your time.
Right.
It's your time. You're working 12 to 16 hours a day and you get paid for that time. With real estate, you can still work all over the place. Sometimes I work, I get up 5 a.m. just to start and finishing up the emails that I, should have typed the previous day. Or I'm showing a client at home, 7, 8 p.m. Sometimes it might spill over. Or, sometimes it's like every day, or you have to, answer the phone for the agents, which I have right now about 12 agents with me at the brokerage. My goal is to have 50 agents by the end of 2025.
Wow.
But we can talk about that.
Yeah. Go ahead, talk about it, because you're out there, you're hustling. I want to see how you plan on this growth being, because right now you said you're in Florida as well as Georgia. You plan to expand to New York. You have 12 agents today with a goal of getting to 50 plus by the end of 2025. So we're just now getting ready to jump into 2025. We got a whole year to do it. Tell me more about that vision.
Yeah, so that vision is I really want to grow, and I don't want to grow, people say you don't want to grow too fast. I don't mind growing quickly as long as it's the right people. Okay. And I'm very selective on who comes on our team. I have a selection process. I've even had to turn 3 agents down so far. So it's not like everybody can just join us. You have to be able to fit within our family and make sure that, you're a worker, because I'm going to push. And okay. You probably saw the video on my page, Patrick, on Facebook, where one of my agents, well, actually 2 of them are giving testimonies about my character and how I am. Like, I'm down their throats. If you say that I want to go to the moon, okay, how are we going to get there? Okay. What plans do you have to get there? What have you been doing? Like, my agents say it's mandatory that they follow up with me every 2 weeks. If they don't, they start getting negative marks towards their, I call it scorecards. And if they get too many, then they're out of the brokerage.
So it sounds to me, it sounds like if I come to you, if I'm going to be one of your agents and I tell you, hey, my goal is to be a millionaire, and I shared this with you, then you're going to hold me accountable for that outcome for my particular vision, is what I'm understanding. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. So your project portfolio, I mean, what is this? I guess, what's the sweet spot? What do you expand? Are we talking about, these are, hundreds of $1,000 homes, or these $1 million homes? Like, what's your portfolio look like?
Well, honestly, it ranges. Like, we have homes from $10,000 lots on up to $1 million properties. And we also do commercial real estate too. So yeah, like my most recent sale was $1 million home over in Champions Gate. And I actually was the highest sold home in over 6 months. So because I sold that home, I've been getting further business from it of individuals who want to, increase their sales, increase their portfolio for the short-term rentals, and have me, sell their home out in that community. It's so much competition and saturation in Davenport. You have to figure out a way to set yourself apart, from the rest of the real estate companies, because as you know, everybody and their mom popped up as a realtor after, 2020, when COVID hit and things had to shift. But now, when people see that you actually have to work to get the business, many people, left. So
talk to me about that, because, you kind of led right into what I was going to get to. I know the real estate game is extremely competitive. What is maybe 1 or 2 things that you and your team are doing to really stand out?
So our team, I actually have what we call brand ambassadors. So there are a couple of our in-house agents that are brand ambassadors, and we meet and discuss different topics and ideas to help grow our brand. The biggest thing is brand recognition for me. So with that being said, we try to come up with funny and quirky things to do. We have a really neat idea coming up with our open house signs that we're going to implement. So you might see that soon. I don't want to talk about it, here, but
yeah. It's a secret.
That's in the works too. Yeah, that's in the works. You'll see it on social media though. It's pretty funny. Like, even, I will tell you this, we even said we'll come up with like an ORI, Opulent Realty International mascot. So we're working on what he's going to look like too. Those little things that fly in the wind sometimes you see at outside to attract, more attention. Sure. So we're doing things, like that to set us apart. And there's no real estate brokerage doing that, right now. And that's just one of it. Other than that, it's really just how we treat our clients. We really treat them as VIP clients. I don't care if you have a small plot of land, we're going to treat you, still like a VIP client, and make sure that we take care of you, because you're going to refer your next partner. Say you have a $10,000 land, but clients that are, and $1 million selling their property. If we treated you poorly, you're not going to refer that client to us.
Sure. Now, I noticed too, when I was like reading your bio, and then, I'll just look at, your sticker picture of yourself that has your lovely, face and image on your card. It has on the back of it that you're a broker. So help me and everybody else understand, is there a difference between being a realtor as well as a broker?
So a broker, and it all depends on what state, but I do know for Florida, you have to be a real estate agent for 2 years to be a broker. In Georgia, I think you have to be in real estate for like 3 years as a sales associate, they call it. So being a broker means that you're actually managing the company, and you can't sell any piece of real estate as a sales associate if you do not have a broker. So the broker, basically any deal that comes into the company is essentially my deal. And how it's done is split share. So sometimes you'll see agents on like a 70-30 split, 75-25 split, with being that, most of the times the 75% goes to the agent, 25% to the brokerage. And those funds are used to fund the brokerage, fund the accounts so that, they can have websites, they can have marketing materials,
right.
IDX integration, different things, that helps them grow their business. And we're truly used as a resource, and we have to know a lot. Like if I don't know it and the agent comes to me and say, hey, how do I fill this out? Or how do I, do X, Y, Z? And I can't help them, I'm not resourceful. What are they doing at my brokerage, right? So I always have to keep myself up with the current forms, statistics, data that's going on. And for me, I always tell my agents, I like to lead from the front. So I'm not the type of broker who tells you to go out and, go, sell. And I have like 0 pieces of business under contract or 0 active listings. Like right now I have like 15 active listings, and I push them to do the same thing because I'm like, look, if I can do it, being that I'm a broker, being that I'm a mom, being that, I have these other businesses that, I'm working on, like you too can do it, so I always like to lead by example.
Right. That's quite a bit. Do you do any coaching?
Yeah, for sure. I do coaching as well. And I have a Calendly link with my coaching platform on it. I do charge $500 per hour for coaching.
Okay. But you get 5 sessions?
What'd you say?
You said you get 5 sessions for $500. What was that breakdown again?
Oh, no. I said 1 hour is $500.
Okay. Got it.
So I do that. I know that also I do coaching in the sense of speaking as well. I know that a gentleman had reached out to me and he wanted to fly me up to New Jersey this month. I told him it wasn't going to be a good idea because Christmas and the holidays. I told him let's wait till January to February. But we came up with a speaking plan, for him too, which it was about $3,500. The plan that he chose for me to come speak, to them in regards to building, different businesses, how to get into real estate, investments, how to start that portfolio.
I like the fact that you're being 100% open with these numbers too, because a lot of people thinking, I want to be a speaker or I want to be a coach, but I don't know how much to charge. And you're just willfully sharing this information. Like, why do you feel so comfortable sharing that information?
Because I feel like transparency is everything. Like right now, my leaders that I look at is like Myron Golden, and he charges like $20,000, for a session.
Right.
I personally don't feel like I'm on that level right now, but I will, share what level I am on. If I can help you and, that you don't know XYZ in real estate, you're just getting into real estate, or either you're a senior in real estate, but you still want to increase your, knowledge about something. And I have that, piece of knowledge, like, this is how much I charge for that. So I am open, in that sense. There's no secrecy in, helping someone. I mean, my prices are right on my website.
Right.
I believe in full transparency. That's how I'm just, I am personally in life, as well as just even in relationships. I'm very transparent. And so business wise, I like to carry that over. And I'm the same way with my agents, very transparent.
All right. So once again, welcome to Health Hustle Chronicles, where the grind meets growth in healthcare. As you know, this ain't your typical podcast because we bring you the freshest, the livest guests from around the world, Craig. And today we're with Dr. Alicia Claricius. And she's a broker based out of Florida, but she also supports Georgia. And now we're looking at expanding to New York. She's also a doctor of nurse practice, as well as a business owner from a realty company, as well as a broker. And right now we're just getting into some of the background and what inspired her to pursue this path and, just basically her hustle journey. So the force has been real. We've already been learning quite a bit with you. So I want to kind of dig into really understanding, like, in your opinion, because you've done a lot, but what hold people's back from accomplishing their goals?
Hold people back, I typically tell them it's themselves. Okay. If you can't get over yourself and your mindset, then that's always going to hold you back. there are many people who have reached out to me in my inbox and say, man, how do you do all of this? And there's, a lot of them are single moms. They're like, I'm just taking care of the kids, and that's their sole role.
Right.
But I'm like, you can still take care of the kids and still have, a side business. I don't want to call it a hustle, because sometimes hustle means you're always just in it, grind mode.
Yeah.
There comes a point where you don't need to grind anymore, that it just flows. Okay. So I always try to say, business. But yeah, like you got to, find a way to just get over your mindset and say, there's a roadblock here, or, I don't have anybody in my life that, has shown me the way to where I can't, do whatever I wanted to do. Nobody has to show you. There's plenty of YouTube University. I always say there's so much information out here. Books, I'm heavy on reading books as well. If I don't know something, it's so much out here, so much knowledge out here for you to obtain, that there's no reason for you to fail.
So share with me and the world, like, it sounds too smooth. It sounds too good to be true. You're doing like everything. There had to have been like some setbacks and challenges. Can you like shed some light on that?
For sure. Like this. Entrepreneurship, we all know, is like this. Sometimes you hit rock bottom, you come right back up. Like I listen to Les Brown, and he says, when you fall on your back, if you fall on your back, if you can look up, you can get up, right? So that's what the mindset that I keep, is even if I do this and I fall, down, I know that there's no further bottom than, hitting that so-called rock bottom. It's only up from there. So that idea didn't work, try it again. That's why there's what we call A/B testing. If A didn't work, try B. If B didn't work, go back to the drawing board and see what else you can do to tweak that idea.
So looking at 2025, you talked to me about the goals that you have, for your brokerage. We're going from 12 to 50 people. Are there any other goals that you would like to accomplish in 2025 that you're willing to share with, me and everyone else?
Well, I would say this is a personal goal. So back in the day, I used to do modeling and commercials for Nickelodeon. So I do want to get back into that aspect as well. So
the modeling or the commercialing, or both?
Well, any of that, anything that, gets me back into that field. So I did, I had an inquiry back from, there's a fashion show 2025 coming up. And I told my brother about this, Mike, but it's a fashion show with bathing suits, and that's something that I'm not comfortable with just yet.
Ooh, okay.
Because I was like, I don't want my cheeks flapping in the wind, right?
Yeah.
So, but I am getting back into that, realm. It's just, I don't think I'm going to do that one. So I might have to decline that. But anything else that's like covered, or, fashion shows, or even just, still modeling, and having, brands increase their, awareness by using my face, I'm up for that.
Okay, nice. Help me understand this. What impact are you trying to make? And this could be both professionally as well as personally.
The impact I really want to make, and I always said this years ago, before I even started all of this, is I really wanted to help women, but I geared that impact to men too, because sometimes men, oftentimes get left out. So the impact that I really want to leave on this world is just really educating people. Even you'll see some things coming up about, since I'm in the medical field, about mental health awareness, business-wise, how to increase, your business, how to scale it, how to grow, how to create generational wealth. Like all of that is what I want to leave for the world for when I, end up passing away.
And then you mentioned too that you had kids. Are they actively involved in your business now? Are you teaching them that entrepreneurial spirit, or you just allowing them to be kids at this point?
Yeah, no, well, my little ones, they're not in the business so much because they're like 4 and 5, but I do have them do like little things. Like we have like these business flashcards, and I'll have them remember, certain vocabulary words right now. Like my 5-year-old, she's in 2nd grade, and she'll be going to 3rd grade next year. My 4-year-old, she'll be going to 1st grade. She started a little behind because she has myopia with her vision.
Okay.
But as far as my older ones, my 12-year-old, she already has a business. Like we're working on that for her. She does all her editing, voiceovers, everything. Like
At
when I
12.
say she could, she said, yeah. But she started out with our business. She was our marketer for a while. And I would tell her, no, this doesn't look good. No, you got to put this color by this color because you see the clashing, like you got to create space. So through her marketing for us, she learned how to, do her marketing, cut clips and everything. So I'm going to end up getting, someone for her to help her grow her business side too. But she started her like YouTube page a couple of months ago, and she has over like 100 some subscribers. And
That's what's
I'm
up.
just like, what? Yeah, thousands of views. I'm just like, man, she needs to go back and work on my page.
Exactly. So is your daughter, is she putting her face on there too, or is she just creating content that people resonate with?
Yeah, no, she's putting her face because she likes to cook. So her thing is she likes to cook vegan dishes because we're all vegetarian.
Okay.
So being that she likes to show people how to make homemade milk or how to cook, pies, cakes, anything vegan meals. Her thing is we're going to start transitioning to and do Uber Eats or, DoorDash. So I told her, let's try to get set up for that because in our area, it's really needed. We don't have any places in our area that serves vegan food. And I know that a lot of people are turning towards that. So she's going to be juicing, selling the juices. And with my medical background, I told her we need to put these types of juices together for, heart disease or kidneys or diabetes, any of that. And we'll call it certain types of juices, so that they know that this juice is specific for this.
So expand on that because I'm always interested. I hear people, they're vegan and, there's all these other different, and in my opinion, I say there's like fad diets because there are some fad diets out there, but there's people that are really, they stuck to it. This is my diet. I'm not changing it. This is what I do for a living. Help me understand. Is it calorically better for you? Is it better for your body to be vegan or is it just a preference of choice?
So a lot of people, it's just a preference because they don't like eating animals. Honestly, for me, like I never liked eating meat, even when I was in high school.
Okay.
I was kind of forced to eat chicken because it was there. Parents gave it to you, right?
Right.
But I never liked it. Even fish, like, there's pescatarians, which, that's the people who eat fish, but it's typically a choice. Or sometimes people just have so many health comorbidities or conditions where they just can't eat the meat. Meat is filled with what they call microworms. So you would need to make sure you have a cleanse or a de-cleanse, even like sushis and all of that. There's a video that went viral of this man. I forgot what his name was. He was eating a piece of sushi, but at the end of the sushi, you saw the active live worm at the end of it, and he ate it. So like all of these, even if you're vegan, like you still have to detox because even in like celery or any veggies, like there could be little microworms, but you see it more in like the meats. So most people, it's a lifestyle for them, just making sure that they're healthy because we know that from a pharmaceutical standpoint, being the medical side, prescribing all these drugs, right. Some people are on 15, 20 medications, which I hate to do, so that too is why I stepped a little away from the medical side because I like holistic and, sometimes my vision might clash with the company's, policy and what they prescribe. But yeah, it's veganism, vegetarian, that's typically a choice or either because, you need it for your health.
Yep. So it sounds like you're a doctor with a conscience and you care about the prescriptions you prescribe to your patients. Because I always wonder that too, because, nowadays you go and you see your physician, they prescribe you one thing, but then they prescribe you a second thing to counteract the effects of the first drug that they gave you. So you end up needing one drug and you walk away with three. And so everybody wants to know, like, are physicians, are you compensated to prescribe certain medications to your patients or what?
Oh, I don't know if I should dig too deep into it because I know too much, but yeah. I can say that when I was in medical school, I would see certain reps come with different types of drugs and we would have, these like meetings, with the reps, and the reps would say, hey, try to push this, towards the patient or prescribe, this. So right. That much I can say. So when I saw some of that stuff going on in the background, I was like, because that's not why I got into medical school. Exactly. And just to give you another little piece, when patients have procedures such as C-sections, doctors get paid a little bit more to recommend that C-section, you know. So even on that side, so every profession doesn't have what we call every profession has something in there that might steer somebody away from it, you know. I'll say it like that.
Sure.
But you just have to be that type of person that knows your limits, has, you know, ethics as far as how far you're willing to go. And certain things I'm just not willing to go that far, because my whole goal, I'm a caring person. I care a lot for people. I don't want to harm people. So if I see any of that or know that something is, you know, going to harm them or lead to that, I'm not going to give it to them.
Got it. Now you've earned your credentialing or your credential as a doctor, right? So outside of work, do you prefer that people introduce you as a doctor, or you prefer they use your first name? How does that work?
Yeah, no, typically, like if the person doesn't know me, I just tell them, call me Dr. A. But if they do know me, they call me, you know, by my first name, Alicia. It's real no preference, but I know that many people with titles, you know, they say that they've earned those titles. You know, it did take me like 12 years to get through, you know, start to finish through the whole program. I mean, so you earn that title. But some people, you know, titles are just titles. They really don't care. But for me, I just usually go by Dr. A. That's just the name that, you know, transpired from even when I was in school, they would call me Dr. A. So I just carried that name on through.
Got it. So it's good to know. So what advice would you give other people looking to follow a similar path as yourself?
I would tell them, you know, the road is bumpy. It's hard. You know, you got to have that certain mindset just not to give up. Like many people, you know, as soon as you hit a rock, it's okay to cry. It's okay to go outside, scream, get it out however you like to do it. But you got to know that you got to have a greater mission and purpose in your head. Like, what are you trying to do? Where are you trying to go with the ultimate goal? If you don't have a vision of where you want whatever you're trying to do to take you to, you're not going to get there. So keep that vision in mind, your end goal of how you're trying to get there, what you're trying to do with it. And that is usually the driving force. Or either if you have kids, many people, their kids are the driving force because maybe they didn't grow up with a lot, but they want their kids to have or not work as hard.
Right.
You know, like I mentioned earlier, I told my kids, you'll never have to wipe butts because they won't. You know, essentially, I've built a framework and breaking those generational curses, you know, from our family so they won't have to work as hard, you know, as hard as I did. Will they have to work hard? Yes, because I'm going to make them, you know, with their entrepreneur, you know, goals that they have. But as far as doing a lot of the grind and dirty work that I had to do to get where I am, no, they won't have to do that.
Got it. So I'm not sure if you have time for anything else, but I mean, because now you're physician, you have your realty practice, you have a growing team, you're speaker, you're coach, you do a little bit of everything. Outside of work, is there anything in particular that you like talking about? You know, sometimes people have like these messages that they want people to gravitate with, even though it doesn't relate to what they do professionally. So I want to ask you, just to kind of open up the airways, is there anything else you like to talk about outside of or separate from being a broker and being a physician?
It's really, I kind of hit it on the head before, just taking care of yourself. Like just self-care. Like if you know that you know the type of person that you are. So if you know that you're getting overwhelmed with something, even if it's just one thing, even if you're working on a job and your boss is demanding more work from you, take that time, set it aside for you. The greatest thing that I've learned from, and she used to be my manager, my supervisor when I worked at the hospital, and she moved to Thailand. The biggest thing she told me was, she was like, man, I wish if I was your age, the greatest piece of advice that I could, you know, give to myself, she told me, was to take care of myself. She was like, I wish I would have took care of myself a little bit better than I did, because, you know, now she's in her 60s, she's enjoying her life now, but still has some health, you know, issues going on. So, you know, definitely if you trying to wait till you get that golden watch at the end, which some people, you know, are waiting for that, but we know reality in today's day and age, most people aren't getting a pension and a watch anymore.
Right.
You know, so you got to take care of yourself so that when you do get to that point where you can just rest and, you know, retire, that you're in good health and status to be able to do so.
Listen, looking at you and just hearing your voice, you have a great presence. You can tell you're like this executive leader because that it oozes out of you. So I'm interested in knowing, to share with the audience, like, do you have a podcast, a social presence where people can follow you and tap in with your messaging and as well as your hustle journey?
So for Facebook, for the real estate side, they can tap into Opulent Realty, INT. Or for the personal side, I have an IG. It's Dr. Alicia Clarcius. I will be starting a podcast in 2025, and that is going to be talking about entrepreneurship and also kind of like your mental state. And since I'm trying to incorporate all that in there, how you have to be balanced with your mental state in order to do some of these things. So that'll be coming soon. I have not selected, the release date, but I do know that it'll probably around like February, March, because we're doing some back end work before that.
Nice. All right. Before we close this out, I want to open it up and be respectful because I've asked you a lot of questions, but I definitely would want to, open this up, give you an opportunity, share anything that's on your chest, any message that you want to share, with the audience that I have or anyone across the world. So let me pause here and turn it over to you.
Yeah, just be you, be yourself. That's the biggest thing. Like, I've been through all those stages where, I've had to find myself. I had to find my own identity. I had to find, who I am, what I like to do, so if you know that whatever you're doing isn't making you happy, I'm not telling you to quit your job tomorrow, because I don't want you coming back to me and saying, well, listen to this podcast.
She told me to quit my job.
That's not what I'm telling you to do. Okay. What I'm telling you to do is find peace within yourself. If you truly say you love technology, and you knew that as a kid you like to, play video games, but now, just for instance, you're working in the corporate world in a medical field, and that's something that you truly hate. Like, go back and see what you can do. Maybe you can start a business on the side to where, you can run that while you're making money, so that that can fund your lifestyle for the time being until you can fund your own lifestyle. Everybody, I have to say that everybody isn't meant to be an entrepreneur. Some people are meant to, work. If everybody was their own boss, we would have no workers, unfortunately. But being a worker isn't such a bad thing either. If that's what makes you comfortable, in your lifestyle, it feeds your family, it gets you to where you want to go. Some people like that. But for those who you just can't work for anybody, and you're on the other side and you want, a little bit more freedom, because everyone has different personalities and different things that they're supposed to accomplish in life, then go the entrepreneur route.
Excellent. Thank you for that. So today we were joined by the incredible Dr. Alicia, aka Dr. A true powerhouse with expertise spanning across healthcare, real estate, as well as business development. Dr. Alicia, she's a doctor of nurse practice, licensed in multiple states, a top producing real estate broker in the state of Florida, as well as Georgia, as well as a mortgage loan originator, licensed in all 50 states. As the CEO of Opulent Medical Care and Opulent Realty International, she's a trailblazer known for her sharp negotiation skills, innovative solutions, and unwavering commitment to putting people first. With her background as a healthcare leader and her success as a coach and brand ambassador, and as well as for her several businesses, Dr. Alicia, she's here to share her journey and inspire us to think bigger. So I would like to thank you for joining us on the show, dropping tons of nuggets, your wisdom and knowledge for what, your hustle game looked like to be this person that you are today. And, once again, I look forward to continuing to follow your journey as well as your vision for 2025. So thank you for your time today, Doc.
Thank you so much, Patrick. I enjoyed this, and I thank you for inviting me onto your podcast.
I love it. That ends that.